Capricorn, before anything else, take a deep breath, because what is about to unfold is not just a message, it's a revelation, a decoding of events you lived through without realizing the meaning behind them. So pause for a moment, hit the like button, subscribe, and type, "I receive my season," because this is not entertainment, this is alignment. Every bit of engagement you give pushes this prophetic message deeper into your path. And if you want the shift around you to strengthen, you must lock in your spirit right now. This is the story of the moment your life quietly broke open, even while it felt like nothing was happening. It's the story of how your money season didn't simply improve, it shifted violently, silently, and permanently. And you didn't even notice the exact second everything changed. That's the mystery. That's the power. That's why you're here. Because Capricorn, you didn't stumble into this video. You were brought to it. Your shift started in a moment that looked ordinary, almost forgettable. Maybe it was a night you couldn't sleep. Maybe it was a day everything went wrong. Maybe it was the moment you sat alone thinking, "I've done everything right. Why am I still stuck?" What you didn't see was that the last cycle had reached its expiration date. Cycles end quietly. Elevation begins in whispers, and breakthroughs often arrive disguised as breakdowns. You don't need to nod. I already know you felt it. There was a moment, just recently, when you suddenly became uncomfortable with things you once tolerated. You felt agitated by routines that no longer matched who you were becoming. You sensed people around you shifting, withdrawing, revealing themselves. You felt drained by conversations you once entertained. Something in you said, "I must rise, I must change," and you couldn't explain why. That was the divine tension pulling you out of the old financial frequency and forcing you into the new one. Let me take you somewhere. Years ago, before the world knew him, Steve Harvey was sleeping in his car. No fame, no money, no certainty, just a beat-up vehicle and a dream. He said something powerful once: "You have to jump. Your parachute won't open right away." Capricorn, that's where your shift began, the moment you jumped spiritually, even when you didn't feel ready. That one emotional collapse, that moment you cried and said, "I'm tired," was actually the moment heaven said, "Good. Now we can shift them." You don't know it yet, but you crossed a threshold. This is why everything got strange. This is why people changed. This is why you felt like you were standing between two realities. You still are, but the old one is dissolving by force. Engage with this message by tapping like and subscribing, because every action you take in this moment is anchoring this frequency into your life. You don't want to miss the updates that complete this revelation. There's a real story of a man named Leonard, a security guard in Atlanta. He worked the night shift for 10 years, 10 years of quiet halls, locked doors, and a paycheck that barely covered his bills. But every night he wrote ideas in a notebook. He believed he was called to something greater. One night, while doing rounds, he met a businessman whose car had broken down outside the building. Leonard helped him, not knowing the man owned a startup company. 3 months later, Leonard was offered a job earning triple his salary, simply because one ordinary moment carried a divine shift. Capricorn, your moment is already behind you. You think you're waiting for it. No, you already lived it. The wheel already turned. Something in your life recently ended abruptly, an opportunity, a relationship, a plan, and it confused you. But that ending wasn't loss. It was reallocation. Every time a door closed on you these past months, it wasn't rejection, it was direction. You were being pushed out of the wrong rooms, pushed away from the wrong people, pushed toward the shift. And you felt it. Your spirit felt heavy. Your mind felt foggy. You lost interest in things you once cared about. You felt like something was off, but you couldn't name it. That was the shedding, the release, the clearing. Even biblically, every major financial shift came with discomfort. When Joseph was thrown into the pit, it looked like destruction. But that pit was the path to the palace. When David lost everything in Ziklag, he was seconds from being crowned king. When Ruth lost her husband, she was steps away from stepping into generational wealth in Boaz's field. Loss is always the first sign of shift. You didn't lose, you transitioned. And now you're standing at the edge of the season where you cannot lose, not because everything will be perfect, not because life won't challenge you, but because you've entered a dimension where even your setbacks are promotions, even your delays are alignments, Even your mistakes are redirections. Pay attention. Think back to the past few weeks. Something unusual happened. A friend who was always close suddenly became distant. Someone you trusted showed their jealousy. A coworker acted strange. A door you were counting on closed without explanation. Your intuition got louder. The dreams you had became vivid. You started seeing repeated numbers, random signs, patterns that felt like messages. Capricorn, your spirit was being recalibrated. This shift is not emotional. It's structural. You are stepping into a level where your money flow will match your identity, not your struggle. You are entering a frequency where you attract what you thought you had to chase. You are unlocking a dimension where your voice, presence, and ideas carry more weight than ever before. Hit the like button right now and subscribe because you need to stay connected to messages that match this new level. You cannot feed your spirit old energy while entering a new dimension. Your engagement keeps you aligned. Let me tell you something you didn't realize. You outgrew your previous financial level months before the money started moving. Your mind matured. Your energy matured. Your boundaries matured. The old season became too small for who you really are. That's why the universe started pushing you. Remember the feeling of suddenly not fitting in certain circles anymore. That wasn't rejection. That was evolution. Every Capricorn who reaches this stage goes through the same silent break. Beyoncé experienced it before launching her first solo album. She said she woke up one day and felt a shift in her identity, as though the world she operated in no longer held her. She withdrew, transformed, and rose into a level no one could take from her. That is exactly what is happening with you. You're not just entering a money season, you're entering a money identity. There's a difference. A money season is temporary. A money identity is permanent. A money season blesses you. A money identity transforms you. A money season gives you resources. A money identity gives you dominion. You've crossed into the second one. Look at your recent frustrations. They weren't punishments. They were indicators. Something inside you began rejecting anything beneath your new frequency. You tried to force old habits, old relationships, old environments, but your spirit began pushing back. You felt drained, irritated, restless. You didn't know why. You were vibrating out of your old financial dimension. Listen closely, because this is where it gets interesting. There's been someone watching you, someone who underestimated you at first, someone who didn't think you were ready, but they're starting to see your value. There is a conversation happening behind the scenes that involves your name, your talent, your gift. And Capricorn, the person who's about to speak your name in the right room, is someone you don't even talk to regularly. You have an unseen advocate. This is why your intuition has been acting strange. Your spirit feels movement before your eyes see it. And now the most shocking part, your elevation is not coming from the direction you expect. The opportunity that will change your financial reality is approaching from a path you forgot existed. Something you planted long ago is resurfacing. A person you helped, a skill you abandoned, a connection you thought was dead, it's rising again. Because your money season didn't just shift, the atmosphere around your destiny is rearranging. Someone is losing sleep thinking about how to pull you into a greater position. A door is being prepared with your name carved into it. A role, a contract, a chance you never imagined is forming around your energy. Capricorn, the shift is real. And the strangest part, you're about to receive something you didn't even realize you deserved. Capricorn, take a deep breath and settle into this moment, because what you're about to hear is not random, and it's not just another message floating through your screen. This is alignment reaching for you. This is confirmation stretching its hands toward your spirit. Before anything else, tap the like button, subscribe, and type "My Rise is active" in the comments, because your engagement isn't just support, it is a spiritual agreement. It signals that you're ready, that you're open, that you're choosing the path that has already chosen you. And as you engage, watch how your atmosphere begins to shift in real time. You felt the pressure building around you, the strange tension, the sudden silence from people who once spoke so loudly in your life, the moments where your own breath felt heavy as if something inside you was preparing for a change you couldn't explain. That wasn't stress. That wasn't confusion. That was the rise. The rise that no force could delay, the rise that your spirit has been anticipating long before your mind caught on. Because something about you changed, Capricorn, not on the outside, on the inside. Your perspective stretched, your intuition sharpened. You began hearing things you once ignored. You started noticing patterns in conversations, intentions in silence, motives behind smiles. You became more aware, more discerning, more spiritually awake. And without knowing it, you activated a level that doesn't come with ease, but once it arrives, it cannot be undone. This rise isn't gentle. It isn't polite. When Capricorn rises, it comes with the weight of every year you endured, every disappointment you swallowed, every heartbreak you healed from, every sacrifice you made in the dark without applause. This type of rise comes with justice, spiritual justice, emotional justice, financial justice. It's the kind of rise that life tried to deny you but couldn't, because you were built for it long before you ever asked for it. You may not realize it yet, but you've walked through the same path many greats walked through right before their breakthrough. Look at Tyler Perry, homeless, broken, misunderstood. He kept writing, kept creating, kept believing even when no one believed in him. And then, one day, one moment, one opportunity changed everything. His rise wasn't luck. It was the harvest of the years he spent preparing in the shadows. Capricorn, that is exactly the season you're stepping into, where what you built in silence becomes the foundation for your public elevation. But your journey hasn't been like others. You've been stretched in ways that people around you can't understand. Life didn't hand you shortcuts. You weren't protected from betrayal. You weren't sheltered from emotional storms. You had to stand when others had support. You had to smile when others had help. You had to push forward with no guide, no guarantees, no comforting hand. And even when you fell, you rose again with the strength that confuses people. Others don't know what it costs you to stay strong. They don't know the weight behind your silence. They don't know the battles you fought alone. They don't know the nights you stayed up questioning your worth, questioning your place in this world. They don't know how many times you were close to giving up, but you didn't, you couldn't. Something inside you refused to break. That something was destiny. And destiny has a memory. It never forgets the ones who endure. This is why your rise has begun, not because you're lucky, not because you're privileged, but because you've earned a level of reward that cannot be taken from you. Even the universe has laws, and one of them is simple. What is owed must be paid. Capricorn, the universe owes you, life owes you, your destiny owes you, and now repayment has begun. Think about the sudden shifts happening around you. Think about the problems that recently solved themselves. Think about the people who unexpectedly revealed their true colors. Think about the opportunities that seemed to come out of nowhere. Think about the moments where you felt pulled away from things you once clung to. All of that was preparation for this rise. Every rise begins with exposure, exposing the false relationships, exposing the weak foundations, exposing the hidden envy, exposing the people who were smiling at you but secretly hoping to see you struggle. You needed to see the truth, because the next level demands clarity. You cannot rise while carrying people who are silently pulling you down. Even biblically, rising always followed revelation. Before Jesus stepped fully into his mission, he spent 40 days being tested. Before Joseph became ruler of Egypt, he had to see who truly stood with him. Before David became king, he had to face the betrayal of Saul. Elevation always exposes. And Capricorn, you've been exposed to truths that hurt, but those truths broke the chains that were draining your rise. This new level you're entering is not fragile. It doesn't shake when people talk. It doesn't collapse because someone doubts you. It isn't threatened by the past. This level is fortified with every tear you wiped away, every disappointment you outlived, every setback you turned into strength. You're not rising weak. You're rising experienced. You're rising wiser. You're rising sharper. There is someone watching you right now, someone you don't think is paying attention, someone noticing your effort, your discipline, your growth, your resilience, someone who once overlooked you but now sees your value with undeniable clarity. And this person is connected to your next opportunity. They carry a key to something you thought you lost. You have no idea how deeply your rise is being observed. It's the same way Rihanna's rise began. She wasn't chasing fame. She was simply doing what she loved, showing up in the right energy, and suddenly someone saw her. One moment of being seen changed her entire trajectory. Capricorn, your version of that moment is forming. It's traveling toward you even now. It's closer than you think. But here's the part most people won't understand. Your rise is not just about money or success. It's about identity. You are stepping into a version of yourself that you've never fully allowed to emerge. A version that's bold. A version that's unapologetic. A version that doesn't shrink. A version that no longer tolerates being underestimated. The world is preparing to meet the Capricorn you hid behind caution, fear, humility, or survival mode. That version of you is rising, and once it rises, it cannot be pushed back down. You've been walking with a new kind of power lately, haven't you? A strange confidence, a calm awareness. You've been speaking differently, thinking differently, even the way you react has changed. Things that used to shake you barely move you now. People who once had emotional power over you suddenly don't. You stopped begging for clarity. You stopped chasing validation. You stopped explaining yourself. These are signs of your rise. Your spirit is no longer functioning at the level of survival. It is functioning at the level of ascension. Tap the like button now and subscribe, because staying connected to energy that aligns with your rise is part of protecting your elevation. The wrong voices can delay growth. The right voices accelerate it. Stay in the vibration that matches where you're going, not where you've been. Now pay close attention. There is something powerful happening with your finances. You may not see the full picture yet, but the atmosphere around your money has changed. You've entered the frequency of stability, the frequency of overflow, the frequency of opportunities that glide toward you instead of running away. And you can feel it. You can feel something shifting even when nothing physical has changed yet. Your mind feels different. Your decisions feel different. Your intuition is louder. Your expectations are higher. This is the inner rearrangement that comes right before outer breakthrough. Look at history. Every great rise started with inner restructuring. When Nelson Mandela walked out of prison, he wasn't the same man who walked in. His mind had shifted. His spirit had matured. His mission had crystallized. And because of that inner rise, the world had no choice but to follow. That is happening to you. Your inner rise is forcing your outer world to adjust. Your value is increasing. Your presence is expanding. Your influence is stretching. You are becoming unforgettable in places where you were once invisible. And something else, something deeper, something few people ever reach is unlocking within you. A level of discernment, a level of wisdom, a level of spiritual awareness that will make people wonder how you know what you know, how you see what you see, how you navigate situations with such accuracy. This is why the wrong people can no longer stay close. They feel the shift even if they can't name it. People can sense when someone is rising beyond them. They can feel when your energy outgrows their comfort. Do not be surprised when certain relationships quietly fade. They cannot breathe in the atmosphere you're stepping into. Your rise demands elevation, not attachment. Capricorn, something powerful is beginning to align with your path. Something that will restore everything you thought you lost. Something that will validate every sacrifice. Something that will reveal why the journey took so long. Something that will make every closed door suddenly make sense. And what's forming behind the scenes right now is bigger than anything you're imagining. Capricorn, before anything begins, pause for a moment and breathe. Because what you're about to hear is not a coincidence, not a lucky message, not a random scroll. It is alignment meeting you at the exact moment your destiny cracks open. And if you want this energy to follow you, to anchor itself in your atmosphere, tap the like button right now, subscribe and type, "I claim my destiny" in the comments. Every bit of engagement you give is an agreement with the shift unfolding in your life. It tells the universe, I'm ready now, I accept what is mine. Let your spirit say yes. Now listen, because something has been happening around you that even you can't fully explain. A strange calm mixed with a strange pressure, a feeling that something big is close, but you can't see the shape of it yet. A sense that your life has been rearranging itself piece by piece, like an invisible hand is moving things, people, and opportunities into position. You've been feeling this tug, this quiet pull, this inner knowing, but you couldn't put words to it until now. You've stepped into the season where nothing in your life will remain the same. And it didn't happen loudly. It happened slowly, quietly, subtly, through small shifts you almost ignored. Suddenly, you didn't want to be around certain people anymore. Suddenly, the things you once tolerated now irritate your spirit. Suddenly, your dreams became vivid again. Suddenly, your intuition started speaking louder than your fear. These are not random feelings. These are the early tremors of a massive financial and spiritual breakthrough. Look back at your life recently. Something ended. Something changed. Something closed. You may have thought it was a setback, but it was the universe clearing space for a reward you wouldn't have accepted if the old situation stayed. Capricorn, you are not losing. You are being positioned. And the way this positioning works is mysterious, precise, almost surgical. There's a moment in every great comeback story where nothing makes sense until the very last second. It was the same for J.K. Rowling when she was writing in cafes with no money, rejected over a dozen times. It was the same for Morgan Freeman, who didn't rise to fame until he was 50. It was the same for Sarah Jakes Roberts, who went from teenage mother to global leader. Every one of them had a moment where their story looked finished, until destiny reopened the book. Capricorn, your book has reopened. But not in the same chapter, not on the same page, and not with the same storyline. This new chapter is being written with a different ink. Your resilience, your wisdom, your scars, your healing, your power. You have become someone stronger, someone sharper, someone more aligned with abundance than ever before. And because of that, your reward will match the level of who you've become, not who you used to be. You may not realize this, but you've already stepped into the vibration of overflow. You've been feeling pulled to clean, to organize, to set things in order. That's your spirit preparing room. You've been letting go of old clothes, old habits, old routines. That's the clearing. You've been craving silence more than usual. That's the tuning. You've been sensing your old identity fading. That's the transformation. Every sign points to the same truth. You are rising into a version of yourself that money, success, opportunity, and favor recognize instantly. Even biblically, every major elevation came after a moment of unfamiliar peace. When Israel was preparing to cross the Jordan, there was a silence, a stillness, a moment of sacred pause. When Jesus was about to perform his greatest miracles, there was always a quiet moment just before it. When Moses came down the mountain with revelation, there was a stillness before the people saw the glow on his face. Silence is always the final sign before manifestation. Capricorn, this is the silence before your abundance arrives. But let's talk about something deeper, something only a few will understand. There has been a hidden battle around your name. People you never harmed have spoken against you. People you supported have whispered about you. People you loved have misunderstood you. Forces you didn't see tried to slow you down. But every attack failed. Every plan formed against you collapsed. Every attempt to drain your confidence only made you stronger. This is what happens when a chosen one rises. And Capricorn, whether you know it or not, you are one of the chosen. One of the few whose life carries a blueprint that others can't decipher. One of the few whose presence carries weight even when you're silent. One of the few who can lose everything and still rise with dignity. Your resilience frightens people. Your strength confuses them. Your ability to rebuild shocks them. But this rising isn't for them. It's for you. There's someone thinking about you right now. Someone with influence, authority, or power. Someone who holds access to a room you never thought you'd enter. This person sees something in you, something rare, something valuable, something undeniable. You crossed their mind recently, and not by chance. Destiny placed your name on their spirit, and this connection is part of your financial unlocking. But here's something even more surprising. The next opportunity coming toward you is not new. It is familiar. It is connected to something you planted years ago, an idea, a skill, a dream, a passion, a relationship, a talent. Something you abandoned because life became too heavy. Something you forgot about because pain forced you into survival mode. That forgotten seed has sprouted. You are about to receive an opportunity tied to a version of you that you thought had died. This is why you've been waking up with strange ideas. This is why your creativity returned out of nowhere. This is why you've been remembering things you once desired. Your spirit is reconnecting you to your original blueprint, the version of you that was meant to thrive. Look at the pattern. Steve Jobs returned to Apple after being fired. Nelson Mandela became president after being imprisoned. Joseph became ruler after being sold. Ruth found abundance in a field she walked into by accident. David became king after being forgotten by his own father. Elevation often returns through the same doors that once rejected you. And Capricorn, that's what is happening for you. Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to say will resonate so deeply that it may shake you. You have been feeling watched, not in a creepy way, but in a spiritual way. You've been feeling observed, evaluated, tested by something higher. That's because heaven has been measuring your character, your patience, your decisions. And despite everything you've faced, you passed the test. You passed the test of humility. You passed the test of silence. You passed the test of restraint. You passed the test of betrayal. You passed the test of self-control. You passed the test of perseverance. You passed the test of faith. And because you passed, the reward is triggered. This reward won't be small. It won't be symbolic. It won't be delayed. It will be overwhelming, undeniable, publicly visible. People who underestimated you will have no choice but to acknowledge your rise. People who dismissed you will realize they misjudged you. People who forgot about you will see your name in places they never expected. Capricorn, you are entering a level where you can't lose, not because everything will be perfect, but because your spirit has developed the wisdom to turn every challenge into a stepping stone. Tap the like button now, subscribe and type, "The door is open," because this message is aligning with your next chapter, and your engagement anchors it. Let's go even deeper. You've been having moments where you feel your old self slipping away, those moments where you pause mid-thought, those moments where you say, "I don't want to live like this anymore," those moments where you suddenly crave better, those moments where your soul feels too big for the life you're currently living. That feeling isn't depression, it isn't dissatisfaction, it's expansion. Your spirit has outgrown the dimension you're in. And each time your spirit expands, life must catch up. That's why you've been uncomfortable. That's why you've been restless. That's why your energy feels too big for your environment. You are expanding beyond the version of yourself that life tried to confine you to. It's the same expansion Walt Disney experienced when his ideas no longer fit the studio he worked for. It's the same expansion Serena Williams felt when she realized she was born to dominate courts beyond Compton. It's the same expansion Maya Angelou carried when she discovered her voice couldn't stay in the margins. Expansion always begins as discomfort. And Capricorn, you are expanding. You're stepping into a vibration where blessings don't drip, they flood. Where opportunities don't trickle, they pour. Where favor doesn't whisper, it thunders. But the most important part, the revelation that explains everything, the truth behind your silent suffering, the meaning behind your delays, the reason life bent you but never broke you, is this: you were never being punished. You were being prepared. Prepared for influence. Prepared for abundance. Prepared for recognition. Prepared for divine timing. And now that the preparation is complete, something enormous is moving toward you faster than you think.